It's my pleasure to be sharing with you for the next 30 minutes the Google Cloud security story. And it's something that is built on significant, many years of investment, and you may not have heard all of it before. But let's start with some of the themes that Kathy also mentioned, which is what are those business benefits that cloud can bring? A constant theme that I'm seeing today is business continuity and resilience. Some of the geopolitical challenges that we face have created unique challenges in this space. More recently in Ukraine, we've helped the Ukrainian government continue their business through the use of cloud services that aren't located within their country. This has changed the model of how business resilience can happen, and also change some of the regulations that other industries are looking at as to how they can create continuity by leveraging the power of cloud to continue important operations like government collaboration. So, we can see the benefits, but there is concerns as well. Maybe there's a lack of control, visibility. These are things that I often hear in my role. But we know that the benefits can be great, that we can focus on delivering a service to our employees, to our customers, and not servers. And therefore, we must look at what are the boundaries, what are the challenges that we can get across in order to achieve these business outcomes. And many of them are security and risk. So what are these risks? Well, on the left here, you can see the concerns. New things are sometimes scary, is something I also see in my role. But on the right-hand side, there is a lot of work being done to address all of these concerns. And I believe trust is built through transparency. And I hope throughout this, you can see the level of transparency that Google Cloud has gone to in order to make sure you can be comfortable in addressing all of your technology and otherwise compliance concerns when running on Google Cloud. I'm going to start with something you may not have seen, which is the 8 security megatrends that we've published. These megatrends will significantly shape how we look and approach security going into the future. And it starts with something simple, like economies of scale. We know that hyper-converged infrastructure, hyperscale infrastructure, can be cheaper. And this can bring new innovation at a lower cost rate. So security is going to need to be important in order to make that available. Shared fate. What does that mean? I'm sure you've all seen cloud in the past with what we call the shared responsibility model. And that's a bit like, that's your problem and that's my problem. We want to change that. If you're going to run your workloads in our data centers, we want to make sure that you feel that we are invested in that as well. And so increasing trust, driving that transition to cloud, means we as a cloud provider need to have a more proactive role in helping protect your workloads or advising you how to take best practices to do so. And let's face it, there's some healthy competition out there. And healthy competition drives innovation. We've been a challenger for many years in this space. And that competition, just like if you bought a TV today, and in 3 years' time you'll buy a TV for cheaper with better, newer technology, OLED, micro LED, mini LED, who knows what it's going to be, this competition is going to drive down the cost and keep these in your favor. And the one I like a lot is cloud as a digital immune system. We've seen it with many customers. The business continuity example that I just gave you. How can cloud become a digital resilience ecosystem to support your organization? Running workloads wherever they are, closer to your customers, centralized in hyperscale environments to do what you need, but creating consistent approaches to the way we apply security across the stack. And of course, it's going to be software defined. We all know how hard it is to patch things if they're built into hardware, but software defined, we wake up every day and get a new patch on our phone, and apply it, and it protects us. So a digitally integrated software-defined environment is going to be safer too. And this end result is going to mean we're going to be able to do things faster with velocity. And we want it to be simpler as well. You see, the cloud provider is going to take on more of running things for you, so you can focus on the areas that matter to you. SaaS services may be more appropriate versus PaaS services versus IaaS services. Each one, though, is going to need to have the confidence for you to be able to manage it effectively. And last, and you heard it from Kathy as well, sovereignty and sustainability. We're very proud to run the cleanest and greenest cloud in the industry, but we also want you to have a digital sovereignty and digital sovereignty of your data control wherever your information lies. And that's going to be important going into the future as one of these megatrends. So let's dive into our approach versus the overarching view of what we think the future is going to look like. You've seen this map. It's a big network. It's actually the world's largest private network infrastructure. And whenever you use it, you also advantage from some of the world's most advanced networking technology. Technology that defends billions of users every day, has some of the largest email services on the planet. Who here's got Gmail? Come on, if you've got an Android, you've got it. We know. And we're very proud to be able to protect your email and your services that we host at Google. But at the same time, we're bringing that technology to you through this infrastructure to the enterprise. And that's why security has been #1 at Google for a very long time. In fact, it's literally built into the way we operate and our DNA. We've solved problems that other organizations haven't. We do research in areas with some of the best world-leading experts around encryption. An interesting fact, we've already deployed some post-quantum cryptography stuff inside our infrastructure in preparation for the future. These are things you don't see, but things you get when you leverage a cloud provider and an advanced technology provider like Google. So our experience is very deep in this domain, and we look to make it easy for you to approach. We've all heard the word zero trust in the security domain today. Zero trust is often seen as a buzzword or a marketing term, but I assure you, we have great experience with it. In fact, we really co-invented the entire concept of what zero trust actually is. At Google, we call it Beyond Corp, or Beyond the Corporate Network, understanding that we can create a dynamic, highly trusted environment by actually trusting very little. And it's built in by default into our cloud. It gives us the strength to run gov clouds in public cloud. Who would have thought that? The ability to run government workloads in the public cloud infrastructure without using a separated, air-gapped, or isolated cloud. I can assure you, we bring exactly all those technologies for GovCloud into the Taiwan region here today. You see, we have a consistent approach, bringing the greatest security technology we can consistently across all of our infrastructure, and zero trust is a foundation of that. And our approach to shared fate means we want to have a more prescriptive advice function for when you use our services. We want to give you a strong opinion on the way you should deploy it, whether it be a human or whether it be a blueprint, a script, or even a little advisor that's telling you, we think this is insecure, you should really change the configuration. So we think that's going to be the way forward with regard to the future of these relationships, because you're not going to have all the information on how to best run Google Cloud securely. But at Google Cloud, we do. So we should make sure that we're getting that out there effectively for you. So let's go through that. Secure by design, default, and in deployment. A three-part approach to building security into your cloud journey. Here's some of the engineering. Here's some of the foundational components that secure by design in Google Cloud is. You don't have to go out and understand how the hardware is secured. We've done that for you. We've built cryptographic chips called Titan that sit on our motherboards, custom curated and built for Google. It validates whether this virtual machine is operating on a trusted underlying infrastructure. And it does all of this before you even get access to that machine. That's the secure by design part. We extend that into our research. More recently, we've done research with both AMD and Intel around the infrastructure that drives the next generation of confidential computing technology. Project Zero, the Google Threat Research and Engineering team, found vulnerabilities in both the AMD and the Intel implementation and worked with them to fix it. This is the level of depth and capability that exists in that service that you simply log on to a website and start a virtual machine. There's a lot of thought behind it. And we're not just keeping it all to ourselves. We're also committed to bringing this technology in open source. And if you've heard of Kubernetes, well, it started at Google. If you've heard of Istio, the service mesh technology that secures container communications, that concept started at Google as well. Maybe you've heard of gVisor, the sandboxing technology that we use to protect our infrastructure, again, open source by Google for you to run in your environments. So it's not just about keeping it for ourselves. It's about giving it back as well, leveraging the knowledge. But it's great to have something by design, but did you turn it on? Was it on by default? I mean, we all have encryption, but is it on by default? With Google Cloud, encryption is at rest and in transit for all our services, and you don't need to do anything to turn that on. Now, you might think that sounds, not so new these days, but I assure you, the majority of services on-prem don't do this today. And it isn't the standard default on every cloud provider. So it's important that not only we have secure by design, but you turned it on. And it's the default security policy. And with Google, you get our experience of what we think should be the default, baked into our GCP infrastructure and even our workspace collaboration suite. We also give you blueprints and designs for how we would run a secure data warehouse. So you can click a Terraform script and deploy that as well. But what about in deployment? What about when we're running these systems in production? Does Google have some experience that they could share with us here? Absolutely. You want to have the monitoring, the visibility, all the security logs that you can get access to in order to protect your operational environment. And we get that. We know what it is to log at scale, and we've built stacks that allow you to do so. What if you need more control around your encryption? You can have that too. You can bring customer managed encryption keys, or you can even install your encryption outside of the cloud and only lend it to us when we need it to access and serve your data for you. As well as the transparency on who has access to your information being provided through access transparency logs. So all of these deployment features are available for you to monitor live. Understanding how to protect from live attacks, web application firewalling, distributed denial of service, these are all built-in capabilities you can turn on and get visibility on as well. So, what capabilities in security specifically do we bring? We like to use the NIST framework. We find it's a good way for you to articulate your security strategy and the different products that you have. When I work with many CISOs and many security heads, they have a plethora of technologies in their environment, and it's hard to articulate which each one does. The NIST cybersecurity framework makes that quite easy. And here you can see very clearly what each one of these do. You'll be hearing from Ginnwann next on some of the technologies that I mentioned with a little bit more detail. But our products extend to the security logging and analytics system that we use at Google, now made available for you. VirusTotal, the world's largest threat repository. And we just enable it with some generative AI. The zero trust technology that protects 180,000 plus Google employees and billions of users, you can apply to your enterprise. Amazing. An intrusion detection system that's a managed service. And let's not talk about, think about Chrome. You see, we're not just here to host your servers for you. We can transform you more than that. The Chrome OS endpoint, the laptop I've used for my entire employment at Google, has never had a successful ransomware attempt. And that's because of the secure by design, secure by default configurations. I'd love to share more another time. And what about Cloud Armor? Well, you'd be happy to know that if you deploy Cloud Armor to protect your Google workload, it's the same technology protecting Ukraine from 200 Ukrainian websites from attack right now. It's the same infrastructure that's protective to some of the world's largest packet per second and terabit per second DDoS attacks. And all you have to do is turn it on the load balancer. That's it. There it goes. Leveraging distilled Google technology to protect your workload. These are just some. But you can see there's a comprehensive portfolio of capabilities built in and available for you to easily deploy. But it isn't all about Google. You see, we recognize there's some amazing security technology partners out there that you're very familiar with. One great example is our partnership with Palo Alto Networks. In fact, the cloud IDS I just spoke to you about, under the covers, is powered by Palo Alto Networks IDS. You see, we want to make it easy for you to integrate with best-of-breed security technologies as well, things that your employees are familiar with in your security department, and be able to take that to the cloud with you. Now, we can't talk about cloud without talking about privacy and trust. So let's spend a few minutes here. What if you could trust the cloud because you didn't need to trust the cloud? What if you had a surety, attestation? What if you had confidence that it was doing what it said it was? Well, you can. And there's many different ways you can achieve it. Of course, we have our independent third-party audits by Ernst & Young, who do that on our infrastructure continuously every year, looking at over 2 million controls in our overall global infrastructure to monitor and check compliance with. But we're also bringing you greater technology to allow you to be more successful and confident. Confidential computing. The ability to not only encrypt data at rest and in motion, but also in use. I mentioned some of that research that we did with Intel and AMD around that to create integrity in that confidential computing processor. Assured workloads. I mentioned GovCloud on public cloud. This is a pre-described, pre-configured environment that limits you based on certain policies, like I don't want my data to leave this particular country. And of course, market-leading encryption. Encryption controls that don't only exist in the cloud, but also outside the cloud, whether it be client-side encryption for our workspace products, whether it be external key management in your control, in your HSMs, running even in your data centers, where you are the ultimate arbitrator of access to any of the information that exists in the cloud provider. And on top of that, our industry-leading virtual private networking and virtual private cloud networking isolation technologies. You don't have to go across the internet to get to all the cloud services. Some people forget you can extend your data center and have that virtual private cloud capability that's only talking across your personal private connections, not across the public internet. That is possible today. And if you need to start there for the confidence that you don't want to trust going across the internet to the cloud, that's absolutely possible. And you want that transparency I mentioned earlier around the protection of your information. And we do. We contractually commit to the protection of your information. that your intellectual property is yours, that your data will abide by our data processing addendums, that our service-specific addendums will allow you to be confident that when you use a virtual machine that says the data will stay in that country for the core customer data, the data will stay in the country. We're transparent about that. Services that have global data planes and services that have local ones. And we want to make sure that you can also meet your industry standards and your legal obligations in a country for privacy as well. And that's why we raise the bar to the highest standard and apply it globally across our contracts and also our data security protections. We will never sell your data to third parties. So what about compliance? We know that it's a regulated world sometimes, and it's hard to be both compliant in that environment. The cost of the compliance is getting high. Don't we know it? Because have a look at the next slide. This is how many compliance programs we run. And the way we do it is by trying to make a consistent approach to it everywhere, whether it be ISO 2700, our SOC 2, or particular financial services regulations of the countries in which we operate. We know that's hard, so we try to take the burden of that base compliance away from you, knowing you're using a service that has the audits and the rights and the capability to deliver a secure compliance service for you. We think it's important that you're well aware of this and understand what services do and do not meet your requirements. So it's all up there on our website and our compliance dashboard for you to see. And they're all independently third-party audited. So how do we get this to you? How do we have a greater conversation about securing the cloud and getting on the journey together to making workloads happen? Well, we've formed a group called the Google Cybersecurity Action Team, gcat.google.com if you'd like to know more. And that team is comprised of our security experts across the Google ecosystem. People like myself in the office of the CISO with 20 plus years of experience working on strategic directions with boards and CISOs themselves around what they want to do and how they want to approach their journey. Then we have great people here in country, security specialists like Nick, who's here and been here working on some of the best and first customer journeys to cloud in the country, securing them along the way. Of course, our professional services teams that now are onboarded and available to help you in that transition, focused around security assessment, focused around security posture management and continuous configuration and compliance. And last but not least, our amazing Mandiant crew who come along now to help you with testing your environment, making sure if you're in a problem with incident response to help you get you out of it, and maturing your security operations platforms. There's a lot we've invested in, and we're keen to get involved and engage with you through our Google Cybersecurity Action Team. Now, sometimes we leave the best till last, and it's important that we address this generative AI story. So, for the last decade, we've been doing zero trust. Many organizations are just starting that journey for the next decade. But at Google, we're a little bit further ahead than that. And we've been working on generative AI for quite a while. In fact, we invented some of the foundational components that make generative AI work at all. Whether it be Transformer, whether it be TensorFlow, these are both Google creations. And we also know that the generic nature of these particular systems isn't very specific. Because you aren't going to ask a generalist how to do something like an expert. So we've recently been focused, not just in the last few months, but the last few years, on what it will take to build a security LLM that we call SecPalm. How can we distill the knowledge of Google's security strengths, the knowledge of VirusTotal, the world's largest threat crowdsourced repository, the amazing incident response understandings from our Mandiant teams, and build an advisor for many different situations? We're focusing on 3 different domains. You're going to hear a little bit more from Ginnwann next on how we're building that into our products today. We're going to help with discovering threats and giving and summarizing information that will make that easier for you to do so. We're going to create advisories on where controls may be missing in the cloud that you should deploy because we see a problem that may be a risk for you. And what about the issue that there's just not enough cybersecurity talent in the marketplace? Imagine a little cyber AI advisor sitting on their shoulder, giving them the knowledge of Google, helping them on their next task, them asking it questions and getting advice on how to investigate this, how to do reverse malware engineering, how to escalate a problem, how to look and hunt across the fleet for a particular issue. What does the security operations do? Learning about incident response. We think there's great value in this technology. We're not all just going to keep it for us, though. It's not all going to be just for Google. Instead, we're going to build a platform that you and your businesses can actually extend. Just like our experience in building AI and ML models, we know they work best when you bring your data that's protected, intellectual property remains yours, but is tailored towards your business and your unique knowledge. So our AI Workbench platform will bring SecPalm to you, and you'll be able to additionally train it with the context of the threats, issues, or operational procedures that you do in your security department. Of course, this is just one example of Google approaching a problem using an LLM or an AI ML model. And security is obviously an important model because we're very focused on that challenge as an industry today. But we're very excited to not only be able to help solve these problems, but also accelerate partners and customers' path on leveraging this in their workspace. We're going to start here, build it into a few products, and as we launch it out, we're going to bring it across our Vertex AI platform. If you've heard of Vertex AI, it's because it's already here in Taiwan today. It's our enterprise AI ML delivery tool with all the compliance requirements and all of the independent audit and the security that I've spoken about. And we'll just add the new generative AI model into that for you to use over time. It's going to be a journey to get there, but we're committed to this journey and helping out as best we can in solving the broader industry cybersecurity issues. If you want to know more, there's the URL. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share what we're doing at Google, how we're solving and making the world's most trusted cloud platform and technology stack, how we're investing in security. I want to bring up someone onto the stage who's going to talk to you about one of the exciting acquisitions that we've just made and now part of Google Cloud, Ginnwann Teo from Mandiant, leading our APAC customer engineering teams. Ginnwann.
Thanks, Mark. Good speech. Right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ginnwann from Singapore. I'll promise to keep this short if you can keep yourself awake. All right. As Mark has mentioned, I'm actually from Mandiant. We were acquired by Google last year, and it's been a really exciting and challenging journey to be part of the Google team because there's so much things we would like to bring to you. If you have worked with us in the past and we had the privilege to have supported you in some of your security threats, imagine what Mandiant can bring to you today with the Google engine. There's a lot more we can do. And at 10 times the speed, at 10 times the scale, because that's what we are going to bring to you as we move forward. So for my part, I will quickly talk about, just to do a quick introduction of Mandiant. I will likely touch also on the Google Cloud Security, which we are now a part of. And as mentioned by Katie, appointing a CISO within your organization is the common trend today. If you are a CISO today, you will face challenges. If you are a Uber CISO, you are already facing very bad challenges because you are facing a criminal charge of negligence. Anyway, we'll share some of the CISO challenges. And then last but not least, let me show you how Mandiant being part of Google Cloud Security today with some of the capabilities that Mark has mentioned on AI that we will be able to help you with some of your security challenges as we move forward. Okay? So without further ado, introduction to Mandiant. We know the bad actors. We have been doing this for more than 10 over years. We coined the word APT. If you have heard of APT, if you have heard of FIN, financially motivated bad actors, if you have heard of UNC, unclassified bad actors, these were a terminology coined by Mandiant because we know who they are. We have been tracking them. Obviously, they know us as well, and when they know that we are on the crime scene, we will find them. Right? We understand what they want. We understand their motivation. We understand the tools that they use and how to identify them. And this is not something that you can do in a couple of days or a couple of weeks. You need a lot of intelligence. You need a lot of understanding of who they are. And ultimately, what are they trying to do when they get into your organization? Now, a lot of organizations are worried that, hey, I don't want to be breached. But what we are trying to share with different organizations that breach will happen. It's just a matter of time, right? As long as you are connected to the internet, as long as you are collaborating, you are sharing data, a breach can happen. The idea is not to be afraid of the breach. The idea is understand where the breaches are likely to happen, but making sure that the bad actors do not have the opportunity to complete their mission, which is ultimately to steal your data and to sell it, right? To bring it out of your organization. That's what we are here to help you prevent. Okay? Right, so to move on, a lot of times, if you look at what Mandiant has done in the past, this is our statistics, our track record, right? You don't see many companies that spends 200,000 hours a year on incident response, right? Attending to more than 1,000 incidents a year. We have that kind of history. We have been doing that for years. So we have done that much incident response. We know exactly who they are. And now together with, for example, Gmail, they actually analyze millions of emails a day, millions of files that are being transferred a day across the mail protocol. We know, when we combine our intelligence and we combine with the richness of the data that Google has brought into Mandiant, we are now able to do a lot more. We are able to find the bad actors, not just within your organization, but even when they are out there. So this gives us the ability to really enrich the kind of information, the threat intelligence information that we can bring over to you. Okay? So we know the actors, we know how they operate, that's what Mandiant is about. But what about Google Cloud Security? You have heard from Mark, there's a lot of things Google Cloud Security has already done. But again, if you look at the richness of what Google Cloud brings today, 5 billion browsing, right? 1.5 billion emails. The amount of terabyte of data that goes through the Google infrastructure on a daily basis, right? The kind of DDoS that we can respond to, right? It's mind-boggling. Not many organizations can claim such capabilities, but Google can. And when we enrich and we bring all this into the cybersecurity space, imagine the amount of information we can provide to you. However, if you're going to analyze this information manually, you need an army. And they will have to work 24/7. That's not going to happen. So what we are using today is we are going to apply artificial intelligence. We're going to apply AI on all this information and make it reachable, make it accessible for you to make your security decision at the snap of a button. Okay? Right. This is a bit of the Google history. Since 2004, You can see various milestones that has happened. Obviously, the latest one right at the end is Mandiant with the Google Cloud acquisition being acquired by Google Cloud. But if you look at all this, even for me, when I transited into Google, I was very surprised that I only have one account, one password. And I've never need to key in that password. It's really passwordless. I don't have to remember it at all, right? With that kind of capability, that ability not having to write your password on a piece of paper and stick it to your laptop or writing it in the black book, have the ability to connect securely, safely, and being trusted, right? The zero trust architecture. This is something that Google is doing, and we are applying it to 180,000 employees around the world. So that kind of experience is what we can bring to you as well to make sure that your employees, your assets are secure regardless of where you are. These are some of the areas that Mandiant and Google Cloud Security is able to bring to our customer. The top part, we have the threat intelligence. That's what Mandiant is really good for because of our incident response knowledge, frontline experience, followed by security operation, which obviously Mark has already mentioned. The Zero Trust, our Beyond Corp solution that we ourselves are using it, and that really helps, and it came out of the incident Aurora. If you have been in the industry as long as Mark and myself for 20 over years, you would have heard of Aurora. It was a really bad incident, but Google learned from it and developed our own Zero Trust, and now we're making it available to organizations like you. Okay, last but not least, online brand prevention with our Recapture solution, and that's another solution product that we use that can again help make sure that your users are safe, that your branding is safe as well. Hey, any CISOs here in the audience and online? No, yes? If you are, well, these are some of the challenges that you are facing every day of your life, the moment you wake up and until you go to bed. First and foremost, digitization is happening, and it will continue to happen. In APJ itself, in APAC itself, 40% of digital native organizations are homegrown in Asia. 40%. That's a lot more than the other continent, all right? And we continue to see them coming up. Some of them has grown to become unicorns, like Grab in Singapore, Gojek in Indonesia, and many, many others. And I'm sure you have the same in Taiwan as well. Digital natives companies are here to stay. And they are changing the way we work, the way we play, the way we enjoy life. But as you start to move all this into the cloud, as you start to build your new services, business, and solution in the cloud, it does come with a new paradigm of security risks that you need to learn how to manage. And this is, again, something that Google, being a native digital cloud company, cloud-first company, again, we can share our experience on that with you. Okay, cyber risk is the top of the mind on every CISO. You wake up in the morning, the first thing that's on your mind is cyber risk. The last thing on your mind is also cyber risk. This is what you are paid to do. But being cyber risk, you are sort of the check and balance for the organization. You want to help the company to grow. You want to help them introduce more services, more digital capability, capitalize on the cloud. But then you have to make sure that all this is done in a secure manner with compliance to all the different regulations. You have to make sure that your data is safe. You have to make sure that your data is not in the wrong hands. It's used properly. It's encrypted. There's so much things you need to think about. And to do that, you need a lot of computing power. You can either build your own infrastructure to handle the computing power, or you can outsource it to us, and we can do it for you. In the past, and I say in the past, I'm talking about when internet started, as we encounter security challenges or problems, we bought on a new solution, a new product. And because of that, today, many organizations easily have 30 to 40 security solutions in their organization. From network to IPS to endpoint to controls to your SIEM to your SOAR. If you just do a count, it's mind-boggling that you have such a small security team managing so much security technology. It's a lot. And you wonder whether your security team even get any sleep or rest at all. And that's a challenge that a lot of CISOs are handling. Operation was very manual. There's a lack of talent. If you're a security engineer today or you're a security administrator, you are likely very hot asset in Taiwan. You are constantly being headhunted. And last but not least, the risk that you have to face every day. And how are we changing that? As you move into the cloud, we want to make sure that security is on by default, as what Mark has mentioned. Encryption is there, authentication is there, it's a zero trust network, and we want to make sure that you're fully compliant with any regulation within your region or in your country. Using AI, we can reduce a lot of manual work. If you have read a threat intelligence report before, you can know how lengthy it is. It's a couple of pages. Whether is it in Chinese or English, it's a few pages. Imagine reading about threat intelligence report for multiple APT groups that are interested to breach your organization or to steal data from you. How many reports would you need to read? How much time are you going to spend? And I'm just talking about reports. And in our Mandiant Google Cloud platform, we have thousands of such reports. So if you were to create a team to go through every single one of these intelligence reports, you're not going to finish it. But today, if we apply artificial intelligence on it, like our BART and some of our capability, we can, by asking our platform the right question, we can summarize, we can extract the report, we can extract the right information and condense it into a single page for you so that you get to the information that you want easily and quickly within seconds. And this is one such way which I'll share a little bit later, how we are helping or operationalize a lot of the manual work that your security team is doing. Localize, right? That's also one thing that we are doing. A security person takes years of experience to train, and it's costly. And by the time you're done training the person, he's being headhunted by another organization. That's sad. So here, again, by incorporating artificial intelligence, we are able to make it easy. A fresh grad tomorrow can become a security person to help with a lot of the work that is being done by your security team today, so that your security team can move on to the more complex tasks, like investigating a breach, understanding the threat actors better, developing policies and rules to secure your organization better. Those are things that cannot be replaced by AI today, right? And last but not least, a shared fate. There was also shared risk that was also mentioned by Mark. How many technology companies today are willing to share your risk as you journey into the cloud, as you become more digital? A lot of technology today, sad to say, we are trying to sell you something. Here in Google, we are not just trying to sell you something. In fact, we want to build a partnership with you. We want to share some of the risks with you. And that will definitely help your organization be more prepared, because we are on the same platform. It's a shared fate. If something happens to you, it happens to us, right? So this is something really interesting. Okay, as I mentioned, some of the things that you face as a CISO, threats. It's increasing every day. Every day there are new threats. There are new bad actors being discovered. Sometimes they are being formed. Sometimes they are state-sponsored. Sometimes they are financially motivated. These are the threat actors that are being They are coming out every day that you need to keep abreast of. But there's so much information. It's very difficult to do this without the proper tools, the technology, or the AI. Teo, your team is tired. By just looking at the security logs and the alerts that they get on a daily basis, they have no time for anything else. There's no way they can get through that amount of alerts and security logs. You don't have enough talent. People retire. They move around. They change. How do you keep the talent there? How do you keep the experience there? Or how do you build new talents to help with some of your security work? And these are things that we are looking at doing. So when we apply AI to each of these categories, this is how we want to help, really to make it easier for the organization to be secure, to share their risks with us, and definitely to help you build up your talent, making it easier. Rather than getting your security engineers to understand coding like Java or Perl or C, we can do it for them. We can take away all this time-consuming away from them so that they can focus on the more important stuff. Okay, again, we have spoken about this, moving on to the cloud digitally and securely. I will not go through this map again. This was already touched on by Kathy. It was also touched on by Mark. We are definitely one of the largest cloud company in the world. We are pretty much everywhere. And in Taiwan, we have done a lot of investment. We are definitely here to stay for the long run. Okay, moving on, the synergy between Google Cloud Security and Mandiant. There are about 5 points that I will talk about briefly. One, as you are aware, all the way from our top executive, Sundar Pichai, we are an AI-first company, and that's mean applying AI in a responsible manner. If we are using AI to secure you, the bad actors are using AI to try to get to you. It's a double-edged sword, right? So you need this to keep out against the bad actors. Again, how we apply, you can see some of the nice animation that we have done. I'll talk about Teo a little bit more. Today, we can use AI to generate software codes. How many of you have tried that? Just key in a question, write me a code, to say, design an interface. That can already be done by AI today because Google, we are using that. So if we can use AI to generate software codes, we can definitely use AI to help you generate security policies and rules as well, to update your security controls. Rather than having your human do it, we can do it for you. We can make it a lot easier for people to become security expert by removing the time-consuming tasks, right? Helping them learn cybersecurity a lot faster by summarizing all the threat intelligence report, the information in VirusTotal, in Mandiant, and in our Google Cloud to make it a lot easier to digest, okay? I will not touch about this. This was already done by Mark. Quickly move on. So this is one example. We are using a large language model within our platform. So you can key in a question within our interface saying, hey, tell me about APT1 or APT43. What is their latest campaign? Who are they targeting? What kind of tools and technique do they frequently use? Rather than doing this on your own, if you were to do the research, it will likely take you hours, if not days. Imagine if you want to do research of 10 APT group. We can do it in seconds. We have the data. We have the repository. We have the largest data in the world. And by putting this AI capability into our data platform today, we can generate this threat intelligence report for you in seconds. Okay. 2, how do we help customers eliminate entire class of attacks? If you look at some of the things that the bad actors have done, from Lepers to APT28 to the Ukraine war that's happening right now, more than a year, these are things that we face daily, literally daily. SolarWinds, that incident was discovered by Mandiant. And we share that information with our customer at 0 cost. We didn't charge anything for SolarWinds. We share it. In fact, during that attack, the perpetrators stole some of our red teaming tools that we use to do our red teaming exercise. And we are starting to see those tools being used today in the internet. Those attackers took our tools and they're using our tools to try to penetrate organizations like yourself. Let us share the information with you and show you how you can better protect yourself, because we created those tools. Okay? Again, when I moved into Google and became part of Google, no more VPN. I used to have a VPN software that I have to run every time I want to connect back to my organization to get sensitive information, confidential information. I don't need to do that today. Zero VPN. How many of you are still running VPN? How many of you are still trying to remember your password and the one-time password or the two-factor authentication? I don't have to do that. And this is really, really great, because that's one less thing for me to worry about, to do, and it increases my productivity. No more password change. I'm sure some of you are like, every 90 days, every 3 months, your IT administrator will send you a message, you need to update your password. Yes? I have to do that in Mandiant too. But now I don't have to do it at all in Google because of the zero trust infrastructure that we have deployed. Okay? No more antivirus. No more update to the antivirus software. Wouldn't that be great? Something that you don't have to worry about, and no more worry about creating trusted zone. Because with the zero trust infrastructure, you have to prove that you are a trusted device, you are a trusted person before you can gain access to the information. And because everything is now in the cloud, I don't have to download it into my laptop. I don't. And I can access it anywhere, anytime. Okay? So if we provide this to you, would you find it useful? Will your organization like to use some of these capabilities that we have been using it across the world, across 180,000 employees? Okay, third, the zero trust infrastructure that we mentioned is being deployed in Google, it's being used on Chrome, and it's being used on the Google Workspace as well. Okay, I know many of us are on Office 365, so was I, but that had some of the security problems that is really, really hard to resolve. But when you move to the Google Workspace, or you move to Chrome, you move to the zero trust infrastructure, we eliminate all of those for you. And you don't have to keep patching your Windows platform. Okay? So the idea is to really have verification at every point of entry. Anybody who wants to access the information on the zero trust infrastructure has to identify who they are before they can get access, and by default, everything is encrypted. Okay. If you look at some of the research that was done by a third-party organization, for example here, Forrester, they recognize the work that Google has done when it comes to data security. Okay, we have our own DLP solution, and we apply it to the cloud as well. We apply it internally within Google too. So nothing leaves the organization. It's there. It's secure. Okay. Together with Mandiant, GCS, we are also helping companies transform as they move into the cloud. Whether you are a traditional organization moving into the cloud, or you are a new organization that's born in the cloud, these are things that we can do for you. Okay? We can mitigate, reduce, help you gain visibility, enhance your monitoring capabilities, and obviously, last but not least, help you prioritize your security resources, which is very scarce and hard to come by. Right, so these are some of the things that we can do. And again, it's not specific to GCP. We support AWS and Azure as well. Right? I don't think you'll find a lot of company that's so open. We literally provide our open source to you so that if you want, you can develop your own products if you choose to. Okay? These are some of the attacks cycle that's being done. This is what we do to help support and secure your supply chain by making sure that as the source codes move through your development stages before they get deployed, everything is secure and authenticated, and making sure that they are kept in the right repository. We can also scan your repository to make sure that, hey, there is no user credential in your software codes, because you might share them on GitHub. And if you share them on GitHub and you happen to have user credential in there, that can be information that can be used by the attackers as well. Okay? Last but not least, together with Mandiant, you have seen this for Mark as well. VirusTotal is the largest crowdsourced threat repository in the world today. Every day it is getting millions of files, analyzing it and putting it and classifying it. Hey, is this bad? Is this okay? Is this benign? That kind of repository is huge. Okay, Mandiant, we have the best threat intelligence against the bad actors, whether they are APT groups or they are FIN or they are unclassified as of now by us. We have a few thousands of these groups in our repository. If you combine the data, the quantity of data in VirusTotal, plus the intelligence we have on the bad actors, you have the best of both worlds. Okay? These are curated, these are quality threat intelligence that you can use immediately to help you make your cybersecurity decision and help you optimize your scarce cybersecurity resources. And today, you have heard of Google Project Zero, Google-owned threat analysis group, as well as our cybersecurity action team. These are the experience we are bringing onto the Google Cloud Platform. Okay, and it's not something, I don't think this is something that you can see easily from other organizations. So this is something that's really, really exciting for us, and we're really, really happy to share it and give it to our customers. Okay, so again, if you look through, you need to understand your adversary, who they are, who is targeting you, what kind of tools and techniques they're using, improve and enhance your detection, investigation, and response capability. Right? These are some of the services that we can do for you. And last but not least, build this entire thing on the most trusted cloud, which is Google. Right? And again, it will really help make everything a lot simpler if we apply AI onto it. Okay, I'll quickly move through this. Aurora, this was an attack done on Google. And from there, Google learned very quickly that the best way to secure assets, the best way to secure information is really to apply the zero trust architecture. This was something that was done more than 10 years ago. We have a YouTube video on this. It's called Hacking Google. If you go out to YouTube, just search for it. It's a 5-minute video that shows exactly what happened and how Google responded against this threat. It's very, very interesting. We learned from it, the experience that we have learned from that. We are now putting it into our solution. We have been putting it into our solution, and we are sharing it with the rest of the world. So when you go through your digital transformation, you know that you are secure. You know that you are being protected by the most trusted and most secure cloud company in the world that has gone through such an attack. Right? I think not many of us have such experience, and not many of us want to have this kind of experience either. So let us do it for you. Okay? With that, thank you so much for your time. I hope it has been interesting, and I'll hand it over to our next speaker, which is Murray, and he's responsible for Google Workspace. Thank you.